Miniature Market has thousands of board games at discounted prices. Click the direct link below for Last Light or any other game. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be alien factions. I'm going to be flying our ships around. We're going to be putting extractors out, mining different resources, and gaining light, and it might be the last light. Today we're taking a look at the production copy of Last Light. I've been waiting years for this. It's finally here, and so I'm going to show off the production copy and how the game plays, and I'll see you on the other side for my final thoughts. In Last Light, you're going to be one of 15 different alien factions. You'll get to pick from a couple of them to be your asymmetric faction, giving you an ability throughout the game. And you're going to be flying your ships, small, medium, and large, around the asteroids, into planets. You're going to be extracting resources from them, exploring things that are there. You're going to be gaining and spending resources and trading them. You're going to be trying to control certain areas to get light, which is the name of the game. Light is points. Whoever gets to 20 light first, whoever has the most at the end of that round will win. And each player is going to be their own color, but they're also going to get their own sculpts for the different size ships, small, medium, and large. And it really adds to the flavor of the game of having your own unique looking ships. And when the game is set up, this thing has some amazing table presence. The different planets, the different rings of the boards, the asteroids. It's just a total package here. Now this game is somewhat simultaneous because everyone has a hand of cards and everyone has the same set of cards. They're all numbered and they have different actions. And so you have a hand of cards you're going to be selecting, like here's cards 1 through 3, research, mine, and construct. But at the beginning of the game you'll also have trade, refresh, and command. So everyone's going to simultaneously select one of the cards in their hand, and then once everyone's done, they're going to flip it up. Now most of the actions in this game are simultaneous. People are just going to be doing their thing. There's still a lot of interaction on the board. The command card is the one that has to sort of go in order from turn order, like, you know, because this allows you to move and attack. We'll go over attacking later, but moving is going to be very important because you might be moving over here and you might be exploring things. Like there'll be these little planetary aspects here, and depending, these are sort of randomized at the beginning of the game. These are going to give you different ways, different abilities when you mine them. Yeah, we'll skip attacking for now, but maybe the next time I play a card, I play construct. I can build ships and I can build extractors. Now with ships, there are, you know, small, medium, and large ships, and they cost different types of resources in order to build them. But as they get bigger, they're going to be able to roll more attack dice, 2 and 3 for level 2 and 3, and have more shields and such. And there's also some special things some of the bigger ships can do. So maybe I brought a small ship out where my colony is, and maybe I put an extractor out. Now this is going to be important. You can put them on your colony here. This is going to allow you to gain resources when you mine, but you might be able to put them out to try to, again, use what you've explored there, because you're able to put an extractor out there if, you know, basically it's a place that only your ships are and they don't contain an extractor from anyone else. Because now that I got set up like this, in the next card that I play, again, this is going to be all simultaneous, I will mine. And so I'm going to be able to gather the resources for each of my mining constructs. So we have an extractor here, so we'd get one of these resources. And here we would get this one because we have an extractor here. Now, I didn't go over this earlier, but when you explored this, there's also some explorer actions. Those don't make a whole lot of sense yet, but we'll go over some of those later. Now, those different resources, these look really cool here. These are the gray common resources, purple uncommon, and orange rare ones. Now let's start talking about some of these exploration icons. Now, I could have played this on my next card, research. This is going to allow you to, you know, basically possibly get light depending on how much research you have, but then also manufacture technologies. Now those technologies, you start with one, but at the beginning of this research action, you'd get 1 light, which essentially is point for every 4 of these you have in play. Now there's different types of these. For example, this is a ship one. And it has a cost. You'd have to pay this cost. And again, during this manufactured technologies, you can basically play as many as you can afford. So I'd pay that resource, and this is a ship ability. It's very specific. I could put it to the left of either the small, medium, or large ship, and it would affect that ship. So for example, exhaust this card to re-roll a single die from this attack. Now there's civilization type, like resourcefulness. I'd have to pay one of these, those resources. And I could exhaust this card to unexhaust another technology card. There's also ship modification technologies. I would have to pay both of these. And this allows a ship to have basically more movement. So this has 1 movement. And what you do is you could slide it in kind of like this. It just shows you now the small ships can hold 1 of these, the mediums 2, and the big ones 3 by default. So for example, when we originally explored this, there was this explore icon which kind of matches that one, and that essentially allows us to research a tech without paying its cost. So there's all sorts of different things that happen when you explore, because you're going to get an ability, but then you're going to have something that if you put an extractor there, you'll be able to get every time you mine. Now here's an interesting part. Maybe I want to get some of these cards back. And so I'll play a card down, everyone does it simultaneously, we flip it up, and this is my refresh card. So a few things happen. We haven't talked about attack damage and things like that, but you're essentially going to get all your damage off your ships, but you're going to unexhaust all your cards, and then you're going to return all your other action cards. So this will actually stay down there, but this is one way to be able to pick up action cards back into your hand. Now this stays down here, and then of course you're going to claim light. So you're going to claim 1 light per outer planet and 2 light per inner planet. So again, the inner rings, these are going to get you 2 lights for every extractor you have on there. And this is going to get you 1. Remember, there's only going to be 1 extractor on each planet. So this would have got me 1 light, this would have gotten me 2 more. Now, there's one more card I have not talked about yet, and that is trade. Now, number 1, you're going to gain one of one of the easiest resources to get. But then you could do pick any 2 of these, and you can do them more than once. So like I could, 2 purples for 1 orange, or 1 orange for 2 purples, so on and so forth. So you can do basically, it's like trading resources for resources, but then you're going to choose another player to gain one of those gray, smaller resources there. Now this essentially continues. Again, most of it is simultaneous except the command card. I'll go over attacking in just a moment. But once the last player plays their refresh card, that's when sort of like the round end triggers. So if everyone has a refresh down, then it's going to rotate. First of all, this top one rotates 90 degrees, so this is lined up. And then this is going to move 45 degrees like that. And you just want to make sure that these things stay aligned like that. Then each player is going to gain a light for every ship they have in the middle there. And this first player token gets passed, and again, this is important because when you do the command action, this is the thing where all players will move, and they'll do it in turn order. Once everyone is moved, then everyone will attack. Now it's kind of interesting because only the players that played the command card are actually going to attack, even if you didn't move specific ships. But you're going to decide which one to roll for, because usually the different ship types will have different abilities, so you roll for like all your smalls, all your mediums, or all your larges, and you sort of resolve those. But everything is happening sort of simultaneously. Now, and by default, the small ships roll 1 die, the mediums 2, and the big ones 3. And this one, let's say this one rolled 2 damage. Well, this one had rolled 2 damage to this, and a small ship by default only has 1 damage. So this one is gonna get destroyed because the small ships only have 1 shields, and if you have damage equal to your shields, well, it gets destroyed. But this still hit this one. So that's why when I mean sort of simultaneously, as it goes like this. So this one will have 1 damage. This one will actually be dead because, let's just say it didn't have any abilities. It was a small ship. And they're going to go in your graveyard because you killed this thing. Now, when you have 4 enemy units on here, you gain a light, and you basically give those ships back. But if this player want to build ships and they have none left in front of them, they have to pay you instead of supply the resources in order to build that ship. Now, when you look at the different ships, you have the range, how far they can shoot away. Like, 1 is essentially where you are. 2 would be next door. How many dice? 3 dice. This one's 3 shields. This one moves 1. And this one has a bombardment action where you can hit, that ship can actually hit and destroy extractors, but only if there's no enemy ships remaining. Meaning if there's no enemies to stop it from destroying, you can destroy other players' extractors with these big ships. Now, some dice might miss. Some dice might actually allow you to activate the ship's ability associated with that. So we talked about some specific ship abilities. This is what allows you to sort of activate that. This one's kind of like exploding dice. It does a damage, but you get to roll it again, and it might do another damage, and things like that. And some of the sides of the dice have a hit, and allows you to activate some of the special abilities from your technology cards. For example, that's the icon there. This ship ability, I can exhaust this card to return an action card to my hand when I roll that part of the die. And the last thing I didn't show you earlier was when you go to one of these deep space spots, you would resolve this, and then it would get removed from the game. And it's another way of sort of exploring and getting different abilities. For example, that allows you to immediately build a small ship in that sector, but there's all sorts of different abilities. That's pretty much the game, mostly simultaneous, with some turns for moving and attacking. And once somebody has 20 light or more, whoever has the most at the end of that turn is the winner. Now, if you're watching this, you definitely play games, and hey, why not make some money while gaming? Now, the World Series of Board Gaming 2023 is in Las Vegas from September 24th through 28th, and they're giving away over $40,000 and Super Bowl-style rings to the winners. Now, there's 16 different games available to play, like Ticket to Ride, Wingspan, Terraforming Mars, and many more. Now, you can click the link below to learn more details of how it works, and to receive $40 off your entry using the promo code GameBoyGeek. All right, let's first talk about this. This is the production copy. This is the Kickstarter version. I did back this game, and I actually backed the all-in deluxe edition with the 8-player expansion. This is not that. This is one of the pre-production, sort of like the one of the first copies off the line that they get to check and make sure everything's right. And I was privileged enough to be able to get my hands on this, to be able to do this video for you and play it. I've been waiting for this game for years. I've been hearing great things about it, but I've seen what things are supposed to look like. I've seen things, but to see it in person, wow. This game is stunning on the table. It just looks amazing. Just the production is off the charts. The planets just look so cool, and there's solid resin, they're standing up. All of the different ships, each player's ships are uniquely, crafted and sculpted, so they all look different out there. The little containers, the resources, those gray, orange, and purple ones, those little container things, they're amazing. I've never seen anything like that. It just looks really cool. The damage tokens, this is the Kickstarter version, but my gosh, the production, they knocked it out of the park. It looks so beautiful. The thing I like best about this game are the fast, simultaneous turns. This game is touted as sort of like a 4X game in about an hour. I'd say that's true. Your first game probably will last like 75 minutes, but if everyone knows what they're doing, you could play this in an hour, and that's pretty amazing. That is like the sweet spot of what I like. My favorite types of games are ones that have tons of depth, tons of great decision space, tons of replayability that play in about an hour. I would rather have 3 different unique game experiences with 3 different games in an hour than playing Ark Nova, for example. I like Ark Nova, but 3 to 4 hours, I'd rather just play 3 different experiences that are really tight, really fun, and deep. You don't have to have a long game to have it be engaging. Fast, simultaneous turns. It's so great. It's like, everyone got a card? Okay, flip it. Do your thing. Okay, ready? I mean, it moves that fast. Like, I'm going to do resources, do this, I'm going to do that. Maybe 30 seconds. Okay, I'm picking another card. You guys ready? And it just moves so fast. And even in the the combat cards, the ones that the command, where you move and then combat. Even that, it's like, okay, who has a command card? You and you. Okay, you get to move first, then you, and then we'll resolve combat. You, and sometimes like, oh, you're the only one to play it. You're gonna move and you're gonna roll some dice, and okay, it's your level 2 versus level 1. They didn't play a combat card. Roll your 2 dice. Okay, you took a damage. You're dead. It goes to your graveyard. Okay, let's place cards. It's like, it's so fast, and I love it. It is just, they've trimmed all the fat off this game. It's lean and mean, and I love, best part of the game for me is how fast and snappy the turns are, but yet how much depth you have of the things that you're doing. I love that. And even that, like I mentioned, even the combat is streamlined. I mean, it's sure sometimes if you have 2 different types of ships that are fighting, right, and each of them have their own alien, the tech card, right, the green one for the ships, and you have some modifiers. Sure, it'll get a little more going on then, but even still, it's still relatively easy as opposed to other games of this magnitude, I'd say. I like the asymmetric alien factions. It's great. There's 15 of them in the box. It's going to give you some little different cool little thing. You get to select from 2 of them, so every time you're going to have like a slightly different power that you're going to try to use as much as possible, obviously. The different types of technologies is cool, right? You get the green ones that are ship ones. You put them right on the ship. You can have 1 for each of the ships. I like that, the orange ones are the mods. Those go in there. I love how easy the ships sort of like relate to each other. It's like level 1, 2, and 3. It makes so sense. It's like level 1 ships, you get 1 die. Level 2 ships, 2 dice. Level 3 ships, 3 dice when you attack. Shields, 1, 2, 3 for level 1, 2, 3. Like, they just made everything make so much sense and make everything just to learn as easy. But then, the technologies, the mods, you can have 1 for level 1s, 2s for level 2s, and 3 for level 3s. Like, everything is just makes sense. Also, those other cool, like, civilization cards, you just put them off the side, ongoing abilities. I like that there's different types of technologies. And of course, if you have, for every 4 technologies you have, when you play that 1 card, you'll be getting a light for those. You're building up almost an engine of technologies, which is kind of cool. I love that once everyone has played their refresh card, then the board rotates. And I love the fact that, like, one of the board rotates 45 and then the other one rotates 90. It just makes everything sort of move around and keeps it fresh, but it also facilitates traffic, like ship traffic. Right? It's like, oh, now it's easier for me to get up there and attack them. I don't have to move twice, right? They're going to be coming towards me, and you can kind of plan. Once you've played it a few times, you can kind of plan for that. You're like, I'm not going to move now because I'll move next turn, because by that time, everyone's going to have refreshed, and then it's going to turn again, and then my next move, I can go in there and attack that, stuff like that. So I like that. It's really interesting. The whole refresh cards thing is great because it's like, okay, I'm going to play the refresh to get my cards back and take some damage off if I've got some on ships, unexhaust cards, stuff like that. But then I'm going to gain light if my extractors are not blockaded and I've got some stuff there. So it's like you're deciding when you want to sort of score some of those, which is very interesting. Because you got to find the right time. That, I want these cards back, but I want to wait one more card because then if I do that, I get an extractor there, and then when I refresh, I get one more. But then somebody else might come in on you on that turn and stuff like that. So there's a lot to think about. I really like it. The whole card play is great. Play stuff, figure out the timing of when to refresh and pull them back, knowing that when everyone refreshes is also a big part of the strategy. This game has a 2-player variant. It's got some interesting aspects of it to where there's a third player out there, but the player that controls it is the one that is losing, has less light. And this can be interesting because as you're moving these ships around and attacking with them and stuff, you don't get to use their special abilities and stuff, but you can move them around and attack them. And what happens if the other player takes the lead and now, so let's say you're losing, you have them. Now let's say the other player ends up taking control of them because now they have less points, right? So you've gone ahead of them in points. They control them. And so now if they're on a spot that you have an extractor, they're blockading you. So it was like you actually got the extractor there, right? And you had one of those people there and they were helping you. And now they're against you because the other player has less points. And that's an interesting aspect. Now, granted, with these bigger, larger games, and especially with this game, because of how fast it plays with more players, this is a game that I feel is best with more players. But the fact that the 2-player variant has some interesting aspects to timing and when you do things, I mean, if you're a gamer that's just getting in the hobby and you don't have a lot of great 2-player games and you have this game and you want to play a 2-player, it'll work well. For me, I still love purely designed 2-player games. It's like one of my favorite shelves in my game room, right? And so I'm typically going to play those if I have just 2 players. But if you're just getting going in gaming or you just absolutely love this game, you want to play 2 players to kind of learn it. Even though this actually the 2-player is actually more meaty, I'd say, and more nuanced than the 3 or 4-player game. It's almost like an advanced version, actually. Another thing I love about this is the expandability of this, because I backed the expansion that lets you play up to 8 players. I have not played the 8 players because the version I was sent was just the standard 2 to 4 player game. However, I've backed everything, so when it does come to me, I'll have 8 players. And Greg Dixon, who you see on this channel a lot, he was played it with us this version, but he has also played the 8-player version twice with Roy Kennedy, the designer at Dice Tower Con, at different times. And what he told me was, yes, even with 8 players, you're done in less than 90 minutes. And that's amazing. There's not a lot, and that was what pushed me to really back this, because I don't back games. I think I've backed 3 games in my life. I just don't do it. I have too many things to play for reviews and such. But to have a game that, we're always just like, can you think of a game that plays 6 to 8 players that's like a 4X game that you play in 75 to 90 minutes? No, they're always that many players. Are you kidding me? It's probably a team game or a party game, and maybe Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. And there's a couple of games that play 8 players, but nothing that has this level of epic feel and depth while still keeping the time relatively short. So we often find ourselves at the end of the night with a bunch of gamers, and we're like, what do we want to play? Well, we always we're like, oh, do we want to split up or want to play a big game? Usually you want to play one big thing at the end of the night, and it tends to have to be something light. Well, it doesn't have to be with this. Be like, hey, there's 8 of us, or there's 6 or 7 of us. Usually we got to pick something light and airy. Let's jump into Last Light. It's a pretty easy teach. We'll be done within 90 minutes, even if it's your first time. Probably even quicker if everyone's played before, even with up to 8 players. And again, with the normal 4-player game, you're done with 4. Now, it's simultaneous, so it's still fast. It's just with 8 players, you're going to have more people doing combat at once, so it will take a little bit more time. But it's still, as what Greg said, pretty fast. Both of his games he played, and most people were learning, was 90 minutes or shorter, which is great. Which means if you're playing with people, it's going to be short. I can't think of any of other games, maybe like Captain Sonar, right? Plays 8 players, but that is sort of more like a party game, right? It's a 30-minute sort of party game. This is a 4X strategy game that you can still play, and not a lot of times 8 people. Anyway, that's a huge plus for me. On the negative side of things, there is a technique called bombardment in the game. And this is where your level 3 ship can go in. If there's no enemy ships there, you can take out someone's extractor. That's great to beat up on whoever's winning, right? However, there is an interesting, I called the designer Roy while I was playing this because I wanted to make sure. But let's say someone's in the lead. They've got an extractor on one of the inner planets. You and another player, different player, two different players, are trying to beat this person down because they're in the lead. And you both move your level 3 ship into this. The other player who has that extractor has a ship there as well. So you both move in there with your plan to defeat their ship and defeat the extractor. Well, chances are you'll probably defeat their ship because it's 2 against 1 there and you're going to be fighting that person. But even if you defeat that person's ship who owns the extractor, if there's 2 of you there and neither of you are the one that owns the extractor, you can't bombard it because it's any ship. You can't have any enemy ships there. I thought that was a very weird rule. I think that was the wrong choice. I think as long as the person's ship who owns that extractor isn't there, you should be able to bombard it because it allows you to kind of work together with other players to take down someone who's way in the lead. I thought that was a weird rule. I checked with Roy. He said, this is the way I believe that the final rule was written. If it isn't this way, I'll eat my hat. But I think you should be able to bombard something if there are enemy ships there, as long as it's not the person who owns the extractor. It lends itself to more sort of like aligning with players and more temporary alliances as opposed to I have to be the only one in there. I don't like that rule. The second thing is, since it's a race, sometimes someone can get ahead, and if you don't, together with other players, try to take them out, as I was just mentioning, taking their extractors out, taking their ships out, it can lead to the point where it's a race, right? You can see that they're at 17, you're at 12. There's really no way you're going to come back. Even if you get like your little secret, hey, I got 5 green planets, I get 5 points, right? Flip it up. You're still not going to win. Sometimes you can know 3/4 through that you're not going to win because it's a race. But you can help that in further plays with knowing that if someone's starting to get away, you guys better start like messing with them and shooting their ships and trying to get level 3s and get their extractors out and get their people out of the middle and stuff like that. But it can happen. Not all the time, but it can happen. Also, the rules could have been a little bit more clear on moving. The rules talked about move each ship, and then after you've moved all your ships, right? So it made you think that you have to move all your ships when you move. And then like a section or 2 later, it says, it said something about like you don't have, after you do this, it doesn't matter whether your ships are moved, you can still blah, 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 something like that. So it was like the rules made it seem like you had to move all your ships because of the language it used. It said each ship, and then it said move all ships. And then later on it says, even ships that don't move can blah, 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 blah. And so I don't remember that sentence, but the rules could have been a little clearer on movement. But for the most part, the rule book was pretty good. That was it. But I'm nitpicking here, folks, finding things that were problems with the game that could have made it better. The game's great. For all these reasons, because it's such a looker, because it's so streamlined, because I can get a game that feels like an epic experience fast, which is what I like, but still feels with depth. The fact that it's expandable to 8 players and it's still fast, and it basically can do, I think, something that no other game can do, honestly. It's going to be staying in my gaming library. It's going to be inducted into my library for the Saxophone Serenade. Here we go. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table into a high-quality gaming solution, but they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with over 20 styles of thematic game mats in 11 different sizes from notable board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and real cool accessories, experience what thousands of other gamers enjoy by upgrading every game you play with a Game Topper system. Save hundreds of dollars on Game Topper package deals that are in stock now for immediate shipping at GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.